when I bought into my law firm, it cost me $250,000, and we borrowed the money, and over a 2 or 3 year period, we recovered that. Well, here I was in Montefiore, and in my first month, I'd recovered my initial investment. I thought that was great. And we put our foot on the gas, and we advanced in rank and have enjoyed a terrific experience with Montefiore. So the plan, absent what we're going to talk tonight about, really works. Had we had what is in place now at the time that we signed up, those 9 people signing up would have resulted in about an $8,000 check for us. And so what we have our arms around now is so much more lucrative than $297 that we'd be foolish not to ignore it. The second aspect of what the corporation recognized was an activity that they wanted to encourage is people who acted quickly. People who dipped their toe in the water and revisited it, and dipped their toe in the water and revisited it, they didn't achieve nearly as much as those who acted quickly. So the two components of this 1.5% bonus pool encourages people to place an appropriate initial first order and to engage in very fast action. If they do those two things, then the 1.5% bonus pool really works and really rewards them. I want to reiterate before we go into the details of the pool that the pool is on top of the traditional binary plan. So nothing has happened to your binary component that's any different than it's ever been. So it's still a generous program even without the pool. And the pool is a promotional pool, so it's intended to last an indefinite period of time, but not necessarily forever. And so take advantage of it while it's there. And remember that it's in addition, over and above, not instead of the binary plan that's been in place for all time. And I guess it's a new generation non-flushing binary plan, if we want to be completely accurate about it. But that traditional plan with 9 different ways to earn money still exists, and this is over and above that. So how do we participate in the pool? The best analogy that I've heard was done by one of Corbin's guys, and he told it to me privately, and I've trumpeted from stage, and wherever I've forgotten to give him credit for it, I apologize. But Dennis Rupp did a great job. He's a rabid golfer, and he said, it's just like the skins game, isn't it? I said, you're right, because how does the skins game work in golf? Well, in the skins game, sponsors put up a pool of money, say $3 million, and they get 4 golfers to play 18 holes, and they divvy it up based on shares that the golfers earn. How do the golfers earn shares? Well, if Tiger Woods wins 9 holes, then it's $1.5 million to Tiger. If the other 3 golfers win 3 holes apiece, then it's $500,000, $500,000, $500,000, and poof, there goes your $1.5 million. Well, the company's situation is similar in the sense that they take 1.5% of North America's volume, and by the way, the volume is measured based on PV, not based on dollars and cents. And so that has relevance when we talk about 1,000-point kits versus 400-point kits, because that increases the value of the pool significantly. So if Montefiore puts into the pool 1.5% of North America's volume, and similarly the skins game puts in, a $3 million sponsorship pool, that's kind of the parallel that I'm looking at. And then how do we earn shares? Well, the first thing you have to do is become kit qualified. And what does kit qualified mean? Well, in August, there were 2 kits available, a senior kit and a junior kit. The senior kit was worth 1,000 points, and the junior kit was worth 500 points. And they didn't have a significant first-order bonus attached to them, and they were paid as the promo allowed them to be paid during the month of August. And based on those 1,000-point kits, the folks in that line of sponsorship that I mentioned ran like crazy, and they went nuts and did really, really well and achieved the ranks that I discussed. Then if they went for the 500-point kits, that also got them kit qualified. Once they were kit qualified, once a new person was kit qualified, then all they had to do was sponsor 4 people in as new distributors to the business. And those 4 people, in order to be qualified to participate in the pool, had to be on at least 200 points of volume. Now, what the people in Connecticut figured out mathematically is that it made way, way more sense for all 4 of those people to be in on 1,000-point kits than on 200-point kits. And why is that? if your kit qualified and you sponsor 4 other people in on a kit, take a look how the numbers work out. A senior kit is worth 2 points, and a junior kit is worth 1 point. Now, if you sponsor 4 people in, those 4 people on senior kits get 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Because remember, senior kits are worth 2 points. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 8, right? Senior kits, they're worth 2 points because they're trying to encourage you to place an appropriate initial first order. But because you placed an appropriate initial first order, they multiply those 8 times 2 for a total of 16. 16 points, right? But if you do it, and remember they want to encourage you to act quickly as well. If you do it in the first 28 days, then they multiply that 16 times 2 again for a total of 32. Now the pool is a fluctuating pool. Its payouts will vary. The lowest I've seen them pay is about $72 a share, and the highest I've seen them pay is $100 a share. They actually max out at $100 per share. At $100 per share, 32 points is worth $3,200. And so you can see that the participation in this pool at a senior kit level is lucrative. By comparison, compare it to the situation if you were in on a junior kit. Then it would be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 8, but not times 2 because a junior kit's only worth 1 point. Junior kit's worth 1 share. And so you wouldn't multiply it times 2. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 8, and you would do it in the first 28 days, so your total would be 16, not 32. Well, if you were to increase your investment from $500 for a junior kit to $1,000 for a senior kit, that would cost you $500. But you would make $1,600. So you'd be foolish not to increase to a senior kit. And then as you preach this philosophy to the rest of the people in your group, then they too would get on senior kits. It would only make mathematic sense to do that. And so that would result in a $3,200 recovery if it paid out at $100 a share. If it paid out at $85 a share, the math is $2,720. Either way, significantly more than what you invested in to become a part of this Montefiore experience. So it's truly a huge financial benefit to go down this path. So imagine the possibilities for your brand new person. Before I do imagine those possibilities, let's think about what happened in the month of September. When we went to the convention, we had all these rank advancements and all these Jeep giveaways. During the month of September, the 1,000-point kits continued for 1 week past the convention, and then the 1,000-point kits were modified. They were changed to a 400-point kit. And the 400-point kit was about the same money for the new guy, frankly, because there was a first-order bonus that was in addition to that, and it worked out to almost the same amount of money as the 1,000-point kits. But remember that rank advancement aren't based on dollars, they're based on points. And Jeep qualifications aren't based on dollars, they're based on points. So when you put dollars into the program, you give the new guy money, but you don't get the rank advancements and you don't get the Jeep advancements. And those are the two things that build the stories that you want to tell within your group that allow people to really become inspired. We left the convention and we were stoked. Our group was so excited. We went to a leadership retreat at Lake Powell and spent a week on Ken Porter's boat there. And while we were there, Lori Runzer and Dean Runzer Lori was there by herself because Dean was working on some huge monstrous project. So when we all hear the excuses, oh, I'm really busy, well, Lori and Dean were hugely, enormously busy. But nonetheless, they were inspired by this. And Lori came back and said she was supposed to go to Las Vegas to visit some friends for a couple of days, but she was so inspired from the convention and the information that we shared on the boat that she raced back to Canada and said, we're running hard. Lori had a defection in her group, a fellow who had left and taken basically her entire pay leg. She started her run for Diamond with the 1,000-point kits on September 7th. And on September 7th, she had on Monday of that week 400 points in her money leg. So in the binary, her pay leg, she was sitting on Monday at 400 points. By the end of the week, she had 21,000 points and had her first week of diamond qualification under her belt. The next week was her big week. She had 1,500 points, and 1,500 points on Monday. By the end of the week, she was at 21,000 points and had her second week of diamond qualification under her belt. By the third week, she was at 650, I believe was the number of points. 650 points on Monday. And by Friday, she was at 21,000 points. And it was all based on the squaring notion that we're talking about tonight. 3 weeks, 21,000. Now get this. The first week, she worked like crazy and put a bunch of people in the business. The second week, she also worked like crazy, but in this huge resort that she and her husband are building, a couple of the investors pulled out. And she was required in a 1 week's time to raise $250,000 of investment money right away to keep the project going forward. So she was distracted, put in fewer people in the second week than she did in the first, but she still achieved the 21,000 point level. In the third week, she achieved the 21,000 point level. But what's really wonderful about it is despite the fact that she was putting people in aggressively in the first, second, and third weeks, the fourth week, she didn't put very many people in, and the fifth week, she put no people in. Well, what happened? In the fifth week, she actually hit blue diamond level. And why did that happen? How could that possibly have happened? She wasn't putting people in the business because she taught down in depth the wisdom of putting 4 people in and 4 people in and 4 people in and 4 people in. And then it takes on a life of its own. And people start to see, wow, that's smart. I think I'll do that too. And that's the kind of thing that I think Corbin wanted me to share with you, so that if you teach that too, if you let people know what the numbers are, it's completely doable and completely significant. So now we're faced with the holiday season, and we're looking at 400-point kits. The corporation asked the group when we were in Hawaii, and we just got to spend some wonderful time with some of the really terrific leaders out in Hawaii. And while we were there, the corporation said, what can we do to help make this business grow like you guys were growing? And they said, well, give us back these 1,000-point kits. And better yet, don't pigeonhole us into a kit. Give us just any 1,000-point order. We'll make up anybody that orders a 1,000-point kit, we'll qualify them for senior kit qualification. If you do that, we can go like scalded apes in this thing. And so here we are looking at the holiday season when most people sit down, and just like Jim and Sandy and Columbo and Karen made a commitment during the summer months when a lot of people sit down and slow down, they said, we're not going to slow down. We're actually going to keep building. It's much easier to steer a moving car than a parked car. And so they had a little bit of momentum going into the month of August, and boom, the square qualifications hit, and away they went. Well, we're in the same boat now. We've got 2 conventions in January, one in Las Vegas and one in Atlanta. Go wherever your upline says to go, but go to one of them. They're hugely important to start your year off right. But that's a short string. Can we get a bunch of rank advancements in those conventions? We're convinced that we can get, I'll be attending both of the conventions. Most of my group will likely be attending the Las Vegas convention. We're convinced that 3 to 5 new diamonds can be announced at the Las Vegas convention. Corbin's group is significantly larger than ours, as is Steve Merritt's. And so if we can do 3 to 5 new diamonds by Las Vegas, I'm sure whoever goes to Atlanta can equal that or maybe even do better. But if we have to focus during the holiday season and realize that just because Santa's coming doesn't mean that we all have to stop building this business.